There's only one. Well, my favourite goal. I mean, there weren't loads of goals anyway across my career. Majority were penalties. I'm happy to admit that, but no, I had a good record of scoring penalties. My favourite goal was definitely my first ever goal for the club. I think it was a memorable game as it is against Cambridge. I think we were losing 2-0 at half-time. Liam Hatch got sent off. Mick Harford sort of gave us a massive rollicking at half-time. He sort of said, like, if you don't pull your finger out, I'm gone, or a lot of you are gone, sort of thing. And then, we pulled it back. We scored some good goals. I then scored, funny enough, against Gleeson, who was playing right back at the time. I believe it was a rebound, a parry from the keeper, and with my right foot, which definitely not a lot of goals come from. I put it away, And then as I was celebrating, I always remember it, I pulled up with cramp behind that far goal in front of our fans, and had to come off and be subbed straight away. So it was amazing, but embarrassing at the same time.
I remember that day. I wasn't actually at the game, but I think there was nearly like 3,000 Luton fans behind that goal and down the side of the pitch. But I remember watching it on Sky Sports News, had Gillette Soccer Saturday on, and like you said, 2-0 down with 10 men. A lot of Luton fans that day were just gone, you know what, that's probably it. But what did Mick Harford say half time? Is just to get you guys up for that second half?
Do you know what? I think we had such good players in that squad at that time. I mean, like Kev Gallen, like Rossi Jarvis. These boys are top players. And I think we always had that belief. And it was one of them games where we knew we were 2-0 down. And I actually got sent off. But it was one of them where, like, actually, we're still in this. We sort of had a belief. And Mick being Mick, you sort of, if he loses it with you, as you probably everyone knows, he's a scary figure to be on the back end of something that's not going his way. Mick was brilliant. Man management, Mick is up there for me as one of the best, and I always say the best I can possibly about Mick Harford. He is a legend, and he deserves every bit of plaudit for the club and what he's done in his career, his coaching, his managing. For me, giving me my chance to live my dream, he was an amazing bloke. But more than anything, somehow we changed it, and it was a memorable game as well. The best game is probably my debut, to be honest with you. It's a crazy feeling. Walking onto a football pitch, my shirt was way too big for me. I was a young boy looking up in the stands at Kenilworth Road, where, as you know, as everyone knows, is hostile. The fans are the best in the world by far. It was crazy. Walking on the pitch, and I've sort of gone left back next to Don Hutchinson at the time, who's a legend and a massive name in the game. For me to enter the pitch 2 weeks after my 17th birthday, it was incredible.
What's that feeling like as a 17-year-old though? Because a lot of fans like dream about, you know, playing for your club, and I don't think as Luton fans you can imagine what that'd be like, you know, going out maybe at the time in front of like 6,000-7,000 people, but that must be huge, especially at 17 years old.
Yeah, I think, do you know what? I think it was a positive that I was so young. I was fearless, and I was living my dream. I think a lot of young lads want to be a professional footballer, and it's so difficult to be a professional footballer, and it's getting smaller and smaller now, the percentages, and it's the hardest thing, I can't say, and you have to be so dedicated, and there's so many elements you need to actually make it. But for me to do it and make my family proud, it's unbelievable. It's up there with, like, apart from having kids, it's easily the most incredible thing I got to do. And like I say, like most kids, they want to live the dream as a footballer, and I got to do that, and I'm forever proud of achieving that in my career.
I was going to say, you must have, after that game, just been buzzing for the rest of the day, and I guess you had loads of people, like family, that were really proud of you getting your debut.
Yeah, and do you know what? It was weird because I was obviously travelling around with a squad, 16 years old, and I knocked Forest away, Doncaster away, and Mick was always like, this is experience for you. Enjoy the coach journeys with Nico and Sol Davis and Robbo and massive characters. And it's all experience, it's all going to benefit you long term. And at that stage, I was getting the bus at the bottom of, I don't know what road it is, where the stadium is anyway, the bottom of that road in Berry Park. I would finish the game, and I might have warmed up with the first team on a match day, and they could have played, you know, Nottingham Forest, one of the biggest in the world. And I'm sort of finishing the game, had my shower with the first team, and I've walked just to the bus station, and obviously there's full of Luton fans everywhere still. and there's sort of me, a 16-year-old spotty lad, just sitting at the bus stop, you know. At that point, I was living in digs in Luton with a family that looked after me amazingly, and it sort of brings you back to reality. I think I always had that connection. I was so lucky with the fans, where they see me as family and I see them as family. And
yeah,
I didn't sign for the club as a Luton fan, being completely honest, but I definitely, it's as cringy as it is, it's definitely in my blood, as a lot of players will say when they leave. There's so many amazing stadiums, but Portsmouth away is up there just for how they make you feel on the pitch, and they're known for it, obviously. But every home game is the best atmosphere at Luton Town, whether it's a Tuesday night under the lights or it's a Saturday afternoon, anything like that. But I think when we got crowned champions of the conference that day, and there was a pitch invasion and we were celebrating in the exec box, it was just a party, and it was such a relief. And I've said it a few times on a few podcasts I've done, that personally was the biggest thing in football to happen to me, where I've been on the journey with Luton, and you know, I'm playing League 1, League 2 football in minus points, learning my trade, and you're in the conference for a team, like you say, we're getting 7,000 fans. We're going away to Nuneaton on a Saturday, and we're like the home team.
Yeah.
It was just an insane time for the football club. And I'm so proud to be part of that journey down the leagues, as bad as it sounds. But to get back into the Football League with Luton Town was just, it was amazing. It really was.
And I think, like what you said about, you know, you look at a club like Portsmouth and you go there with that atmosphere. And I guess that is like, after having 5 years in the conference, and like you said, we're going to places like Bath City, and, you know, all due respect to these clubs, with like 1,000 fans, if that, and, you know, like Hideaway and stuff like that. It must be, I don't know, for like a player going from playing in front of, like you said, maybe you're going to an away game thinking, you know what, we're going to have more fans here, to go to like Fratton Park and have like 17,000 home fans and like 2,000 away fans. That must be such a different environment. And maybe was that quite tough for you guys?
Do you know what? It wasn't, in a way, because Luton is hostile and the fans are amazing, and for me they're a different class. But if you don't work hard first and foremost as a Luton player, the fans won't enjoy it, and they don't like that. And I completely agree. These guys, you all are like passionate, loyal to the club, and you don't expect to turn up and someone not really, you know, work that extra yard or something like that, which I was always thankful of. And every football fan's the same. I'm the same watching Arsenal now, and I get annoyed. But we was going to away games, like you say, like Bath City, which now are in my league. I play at Hemel, obviously, and it's a complete different atmosphere. I was playing it for Luton, where we were filling the whole of their stadium with orange and Luton fans everywhere. It's now where, at the level it's at, it's just a massive comparison. So we didn't find it difficult. I think at home it was a pressure. I think it took Luton as a club and as players, staff, at least 2 years to realise the conference isn't a rollover. There's big clubs, there's good clubs in there at the time. Grimsby, I think, were in it. Fleetwood, obviously, Vardy was there, who shone. Barnet. It weren't easy. And with one going up automatic, the playoffs, as we know, it's a lottery. We thought we could win every game at home, and it was never the case, because like when we went to Portsmouth, we had suddenly up our game. It was a huge game, Luton Portsmouth, and everyone loved playing there. So it was sort of like these teams coming to Luton, for them it was the biggest game of their season.
Well, exactly,
respect to them. So it wasn't easy. It was tough, and teams they wanted to beat you. It was tough times, but we got there in the end.
And like you said, it did take a couple of years, I think, for Luton fans to realise that actually the conference is, you know, this isn't just going to be a walk in the park every weekend. You're going to have to really roll up your sleeves and get stuck in. And I think us having them 5 years at the conference has made us the club we are today. And like in the Championship, you know, we're humble, and we see all the time. At the moment, you see, like, we beat Sheffield Wednesday, you know, near the end of the season. You got all these Sheffield Wednesday. You can't be losing to teams like Luton, and it's kind of like, you know, we learned from that. You know, and
absolutely.
And we had some lows, and a game you scored in, which I think a lot of Luton fans will look back and say this is one of the lowest moments of the club, is when we lost 2-1 at home to Hyde, who I think were like rock bottom. They hadn't won in like forever, and I think it was like the lowest league attendance in history. It was like less than like just over 4,000 in. What do you remember from that day? Because I think it just didn't seem to go for us that day.
No, and it happens at every level. Don't get me wrong. I think it's happened to Luton this season. I think that I've watched very closely what they're doing, and they've had games where it just don't happen. And not just Luton, it happens at the highest level. Man City, for example, in the Champions League final, nothing clicked for them that day. And Chelsea were just at the races. It's pretty much how it works. But football's so relentless, and people have very short memories. It's very much, they only remember what they last see and they envisage, sort of thing. And over the years, as you probably know, I've seen so many people come through the club, player-wise, staff, managers, but the base stayed there. The 2020 base stayed there. It's the club's in this probably the best position it's ever been in, with the stadium hopefully going through and everything's in the works for that. It couldn't have been any better, but the foundations were laid, like you say, when we did the 5 years in the conference and we went through the minus points and we sold massive players like Curtis and Leon, and these boys went on, and Viney and Howie. But it was a learning curve. That whole transition for Luton Town as a football club is, I believe, is why they're in the Championship. And they now have probably the top 3 manager in the league. Easily the best coach I've ever worked under as well, by the way. He's incredible on the training ground. Absolutely relentless of what he does work day to day. So I think Luton are in the best position they are. If they're signing players that are highly wanted, like Reece Burke I see today, if they're getting people like that over the line and they got the Wickham striker, I think it says a hell of a lot of what direction the club's in. And for them to be looking forward, and I think I see Sonny Bradley doing an interview saying we're looking to push playoffs for Luton Town, and like you said, 5-10 years ago, look where we were. I think I'm proud, and no one cares if I'm proud, but to see where Luton Town is, it's unreal to see, to be honest. And hopefully everyone forgets in the right way where they were and only looks forward now.
But mate, you should be proud. Like you played a huge part in that journey. You know, without them times, without the heartbreak of the playoff finals and stuff, you know, we wouldn't have been, like you said, where we are today. And you did mention Nathan Jones. I was going to ask you your favourite manager to work under, because like you said, you've seen a lot of them come through and go. Yeah. Who was your favourite?
Manager-wise, to be honest, every manager has their own key element to what they do and what they bring to a football club, of course. I think when Nathan Jones come in at that point in League Two, he come in and he was so passionate in his work day to day. His work rate was incredible, and everyone sort of thrives off that around him, and the whole club had a lift as soon as he come in. I know he had no background as managerial status, but he come in and he set a tone from day one, in the training ground, the way we did things, the way we went about the whole day as a football club. It completely turned upside down. And in training, he set the diamond up, as everyone well knew, and it was successful. Teams knew we were playing the diamond at that time. I was lucky enough, he really did enjoy and like me as a footballer, left back, and he played me in front of, obviously, Potsy, who's still at the club, and he chose me to play there, which I was, amazing to do. And I learned from him and what he did. But I was playing well, and he was great from day one with me, Nathan Jones. And I wouldn't say a bad word about him. I think what he's done for the club, and I think for him, in his short managerial career, going to Stoke was also the best thing that could happen to him. The grass isn't always greener in this case, and sometimes managers fit and players fit in certain ways. And I think, as he's finding out now, Luton Town is his fit, and
perfect,
it just
exactly.
clicks for him. And I don't begrudge him moving on to Stoke at that time. I don't think anyone can. When someone offers you whatever they did, 5 times what he's earning at Luton Town, any walk of life, any job you're in,
100%, you're going to go. You're going to go.
Absolutely. It's difficult to say no. Whatever your loyalties are, and maybe he went about it differently, where he was pumping his chest and stuff. But listen, the guy's so passionate, and I can generally say he loves his work and he loves what he does at Luton Town, and I think everyone knows that now. But he proved a point when he come back, and it was nice to see, to be honest.
The one at Wimbledon, I remember, getting there. I think we took like 11,000 that day, which was a great effort considering you had to go all the way to Manchester for it. But it was so nearly that day. Your ball in to Jason Walker, his header hitting the base of that post. And I think there's that really nice photo of well, not really nice, but the Luton fans, there's like two stills. It's like the moment it hits the post and everyone's cheering, and then like 5 seconds later, everyone with their hands on their head. Did you think that was in from your ball in?
Do you know what? I've watched it back so many times, like all the penalties, and Steve Evans was commentating, and I always remember it because I got it played out to me. And do you know what? My legs were gone. I was absolutely knackered. And I've sort of zinged the ball in, and he's only walked who was in there anyway. So, to be fair, it's one of the best crosses I've ever done in my life. So I'm gutted he didn't score it. And he's got up, and he's always been good in the air as it is, Jace. And he's headed it. And I thought, do you know what? It's in. We've done it. Like last minute, we've actually won the game. It was end to end the last 10, 15 anyway. And I thought that's it. And then it sort of hit the bottom base of the post, and I thought 3, 4, 5 inches inside, and it's a goal. It goes in off the post, it goes straight in. But I think after that, it was one of them. You thought, you know what, it's not our day. Regardless what happens, it's not our day, and it wasn't meant to be. I'm a firm believer in when it happens for a reason, sort of thing. And it wasn't meant to be. I'm glad I scored my penalty, I can't lie, and it was quite a good one. Again, probably the best penalty I ever took, but it was just one of them days, and it was absolutely heartbreaking. It was, I think everyone could see the players were gutted, and it was, it was horrendous, because we generally thought that was it. We was gonna, go up, but it weren't meant to be. It weren't meant to be. That
penalty shootout, obviously a lot of Luton fans look at Jason Walker's penalty and I don't know if he's tried to chip it or a little finesse down the middle or anything. Did anyone say anything to him after the game? How was he feeling?
He was distraught. And same as Lawless, absolutely distraught. The thing is, it's difficult. You can't say nothing to Walks because it's football. At the end of the day, it's football. It's his decision. He wanted to take a penalty, absolutely. And if you ask him now, would he have done it different? Probably, but. Doesn't everyone say that if they miss a penalty? Yeah. Wouldn't you have done that different, or wouldn't you have done that? So I don't think no one was holding him to grudge for it, and maybe he definitely did things differently with holding up certain things, and whatever happened, that's up to him off the pitch. But on the pitch, it's one of them things in football. We would have backed Walks to take a penalty all day long. Lawless is one of the most reliant people in the football game, and it was just one of them things. It's lottery, like we say, penalties. It's just, I mean, don't get me wrong, we were gutted, and I think everyone would have ripped his head off normally outside of the football industry. But it is football, and it's one of them things.
And it's like I said earlier as well. It's everything that happened in the conference that has just led to the moment that we are going through our third consecutive season in the Championship, isn't it? Really, and we lost the following year to York as well, and I think that year it was like we kind of snuck into the playoffs, and though the whole club had this like thing of, we just have to believe, and the word believe was just like written all over social media. And I think for me as a fan, I remember that day, I think I may have cried that day, just because it was like genuinely thought like we snuck in, we did the semi-finals against Wrexham, and then it's just York again. They seem to be our bogey team back in the conference days.
Yeah, and they were a good side. There's no taking away. They were a good side and they had good players. Again, one of those days. I think, do you know the worst thing was, as weird as it sounds, Andre scoring so early in the game was probably the worst thing that could have happened. It was just a freak, like a hell of a finish, and what a player as well. But it's it was just weird, because we knew then, it's like, well, they're going to have to press, and it was going to be more intense, and we knew what was coming, and they had to go for it. So I think we had a couple more chances where we didn't take them, and we could have put them to bed, but it didn't happen. But it was not meant to be again that day, and the linesman got it wrong, and I think Keno's still trying to run after the linesman now and get hold of him. But it's football. It's that, and like you say, it's part of the journey that's got to the club where they are now, and it weren't meant to be that season.
Well, a day that was our day was Norwich away in the FA Cup, and I feel we have to mention it. It's one of the Luton fans look back at that day, and 4,000 there, Norwich turning up thinking they're going to walk it. Do you guys generally think you had a chance that day of picking up a result?
Weirdly, so we went up the night before, obviously, as you do for away games, and you stay in the hotel, and you're fully well looked after. It's brilliant. and there was a lot of press around Football Focus. Everyone you could think of was in the hotel the night before, the morning of, and everyone was asking interviews for this person, that person. It was brilliant. Like the press for us, and the club needed that little booster, I think, as a club in general, to hit the media again. And yeah, I don't know. There was a weird feeling in the air, sort of similar to what Cambridge away. That sort of feeling where actually, what have we got to lose? The pressure's on Norwich. They're the Premier League side. What have we got to lose? And obviously at that point, no one knew Harry Kane as he is now. I mean, it might be different if it was Harry Kane that's playing now, but yeah, we just had no fear, and we thought, we're in the conference. They're a Premier League. What have we got to hide? And definitely up there, one of the most amazing games of my career. It was just weird. It was a weird game again. One Tiles kept us in the game with some crazy saves, and they don't get me wrong. The way they moved with the ball, it was a different level to where we were at, of course. But at the same time, I don't think we were miles off the game. And again, it was we took the goal. They didn't score, and obviously the name of the game is to win the game, and we did it on the day. And it was a typical FA Cup tie. And I think as a club, we needed it. And the worst thing is, we actually thought after that, Millwall at home, out of all the ties that were left in it, actually we've got a chance here. Yeah, and out of everyone, the way they played, the style of play, it was very non-leaguey, and it was very direct and hit the front man. And we thought, do you know what? Out of everyone, Millwall is a chance to get into the semis. We're gonna get close. Yeah. And they come and just beat us up, and we couldn't get near it. But it was a great journey, and the club needed it, so it was enjoyable.
On that day, a word on the fans, I guess, just overall, there's 4,000 that day, and I guess in your time at Luton, the fans have, like you said before and into this episode of Over in the Town, that they were brilliant for you.
And you know what? I made so many friends that are Luton Towns that I could name so many people that I met along the way, and there's so many staff members behind closed doors at Luton Town that I'll forever have time for. And I think publicly I always say about Mickey, he's one of my bestest friend I've ever had at Luton by far. I spoke to him not long ago, and I just said, "How are you?" And he actually said, "I had your shirt on the other day," and things like that just make you think, bloody hell. Yeah. Like what a young man he was, and he just honestly, there's so many people behind closed doors, receptionists to kit ladies, to this, to that, to obviously Daz, the kit man, Simon, all these people, the core of Luton Town, they make Luton Town. But going back to the fans, obviously they'd see me grow from a little boy into a man, and I'll forever see them as family. I'll forever have the utmost respect for any of them. If anyone saw me and they were sort of like, "How are you?" I'd always say, and I think publicly I was very open to what was going on in my personal life, and I never made that a secret. So I felt like they were on that journey with me as well, with whatever was going on off the pitch. So it's I've got so much time for them, and they've still got so much time for me, and they always say great things on social media and stuff. And as a footballer, there's obviously a lot of bad criticism out there for negative things going on at the moment, which is horrendous, but I can honestly say I've got so much support from Luton Town, and I'm so proud of that.
Jake, that's amazing. Thank you so much for your time.
No, top man, good to speak to you.